on the SEC network. This gentleman knows a little bit about playing in this game and playing in that ballpark because he was an outstanding tight end for Steve Spurrier here back in the mid-2000s. Weslye Saunders has been kind enough to join us today. He'll pick some games a little bit later on, but we'll talk some ball first. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm good, man. Doing well back here in North Carolina. How you fellas doing?
So you went home for the holidays for
I did.
Thanksgiving.
I did. Yeah, came on up here. It's been several months since I touched down in the Carolinas, so it was a good change of pace from Miami.
All right.
No doubt.
So wait a second. All right, because you've got the whole health thing down.
Yeah.
So what do you do on Thanksgiving? Are you stuffing your face, or like what's your gig? What do you do?
Absolutely, man. But one of the biggest things that I preach is balance. You can't be eating like it's Thanksgiving every day, right? But so you got to give yourself some leeway. Unfortunately, a lot of us, we don't eat any different than Thanksgiving than we did 2 months ago, right? So.
So what? We're going to talk a lot of ball with you, man. But why don't you? We've got a large audience, Weslye. About 8,000 to 10,000 people a day will watch or listen to this thing, and so we want to give you an opportunity to tell people what you're doing, and if that's something that folks could get in touch with you on, how can they connect with you and all that type of stuff. Fill us in on what's going on in life.
Right on, man. I appreciate it. Well, the football never really leaves, so I'm not officially retired. Recently as of 2019, I was playing in the American Alliance of Football with the Birmingham Iron. Still got that football itch, still in very good shape, and I'm actually in better shape now than I was when I was playing 10, 12 years ago. And that's mainly due, my new company, West Juice, which specializes in all natural superfood supplements and organic minerals to help our body get rid of all the bad decisions we made last night, right? So gut health, cleansing, detox, all that good stuff. That's what we specialize in. But my company, Win with West, is a total wellness company. So, we specialize in meditation, breath work, workouts, meal plans, and nutrition. I actually hosted a yoga retreat in Egypt last November for about 40 people. Yeah, so this thing is taking on a life of its own. It kind of happened organically, especially because these last few years, a lot more people have wanted to take their health and wellness into their own hands. And so that's where I come in, because you probably don't remember, back when I was in South Carolina, man, we got Bojangles and all the best lizard sticket and all the best food. I was a little Coach Spurrier actually contemplated putting me at tackle at one point because I had gotten over 300 pounds. So me and weight have always had this love-hate relationship, but now I understand that it's all about balance. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Anyone who wants to find me, I'm on Instagram at WestJuice, WESJOOSE, and Weslye.com, which is WESLYE.com.
Yeah, it's YE. Everybody remember that.
Yeah,
I had to I covered him as a recruit, and I had to learn how to spell it over. I always made that mistake. But that's good, Wes. I remember when you were a recruit too, man. You were a big kid, but you had good feet and could play basketball. So I always thought you'd be a tight end. Me and Ryan Bartow would debate back and forth, if you remember. And
yep.
I thought, man, could he be a D tackle? And no, Bartow's like tight end all the way. And then then I watched you play, and I was like, yep, definitely, no question, no question.
Appreciate it. Yeah, man, we go way back. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I remember back. I was at Bartow and I both were at Rivals.com back then, man. And we still talk about you, man. We still talk about you. Good stuff, good stuff.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, man. Some of my best articles coming up, man, were from you guys. Yeah. Of course, back before we all had cell phones and we had to get on the computer and look up our Rivals and Scout.com rankings. Yeah. You and Ryan were, some of the names we saw the most. So.
Sure, man. I remember that totally.
Gosh, that was. Was that the 07 class you were a part of?
He was 07 because he almost went to North Carolina. I mean, we scared everybody. He almost went to North Carolina. That close. I remember that. I remember that close.
Yeah. Why did you end up coming to South Carolina?
Man, Spurrier, he kind of sealed the deal. And of course, where I'm at right now, I'm back here at my mom's house. So from here to University of North Carolina's campus is about 15 minutes. And so it was a little too close to home. So, I wanted to get going up the road 3.5 hours south, and I felt like South, and of course, I wanted to play against top-notch competition, man. Nothing like the SEC, and Coach Spurrier had kind of sold us on that, being a big fish in a small pond at the time and making some things happen and changing the narrative in Columbia.
That class was really simply outstanding. One of my best buddies is in that class. He was one of the guys that nobody talked about, a dude named Pat DeMarco.
P. Diddy.
Kind of worked out for him, didn't it? And you look around at the successes of the guys that were in that class, and Steven and what he's doing now in teaching and coaching quarterbacks and things like that. Obviously, Pat is unbelievably successful. Melvin and what he did in the NFL. You could talk about Jason Barnes. He's an excellent coach now.
My roommate.
And a great guy, great guy. I mean, all you guys, like, it was a great group of dudes. Akeem was in that group, Byron McKnight, and you could go on and on. And then there's another guy named Travian, and he's on staff now. Have you talked to him?
Oh yeah. I catch up with Travian a lot on Twitter and between Instagram, man. It's good to see him doing what he's doing, especially because we all pretty much showed up except for Steven. Garcia got there about 6 months earlier than we did, but we got on campus at the same time. So this experience of Columbia and college football and Coach Spurrier, we all received that at the same exact time, man. So I think that's a bond that can never be broken, especially for our class coming in with so much hype that we did.
Yeah, it's neat to see now. Shane, of course, Shane was there when you were in there, and so getting your perspective. I mean, so you're very qualified to have an opinion on this. You played for the program, you played in the NFL, and now a piece of what you were with at your time at South Carolina. When I was in school, we were in school at the same time. When you were at South Carolina, is back running this program. Mm-hmm. So what are you seeing when you turn it on every Saturday? What are you seeing from these guys?
I see a belief, I see some guys willing to make the sacrifice. It takes a little while to buy in. A lot of people think it's supposed to happen immediately, but you got to gain people's trust. They have to see how you respond in times of adversity, right? And of course, not just your name. Like they know the guy, coach was there before, but we need to see, what have you done for me lately? How will you treat me now? So, and it's a whole new environment, man. Obviously, we weren't, there was no NIL and none of that stuff back when I was in school. So now it's a different dynamic. So kudos to Coach Beamer for taking it on and knowing to bring back other guys who've been in the program to kind of help facilitate things like a Pat DeMarco and a Travian Robertson. So I think he's headed in the right direction for sure.
All right, so JC's the NIL king, running Carolina Rise. When you played, would that have been something like? Do you believe in NIL? Do you understand it now? Like, what are your thoughts on it, and how would it maybe have affected y'all back when you were at South Carolina?
Honestly, man, I try not to be too exaggerative, but I think we could have won the national championship in 2010. Had certain laws and statute not been in place at the time. A lot of guys, we were comfortable. We were coming into a space of knowing the city knowing us, right? And so if there's a reciprocity there, then you can actually build something and create it, right? So it had been going on for years, but of course, it kind of, the buck stopped in that 2010 year, obviously me getting suspended by the NCAA. But I think it's a huge benefit, especially when it can put certain programs and certain places on even playing fields, depending on what you bring to the market and what you bring to the game. And, Columbia is one of those kind of towns you can win the town over, and, you can be a staple there if you show all the attributes of the city, right? Hard nosed, grit, willing to give it up for your fellow teammates. So I think it's actually increasing the guys' ability to want to do well on the field. So I like it.
Yeah, Weslye would have been tremendous at that because he was one of these guys, had a lot of friends in the business community around town. Unfortunately, that thing happened, which was a complete pile of crap. But we won't get into all that. It wasn't your fault at all. I never thought it was. But Weslye, a lot of those guys in that class, Weslye, Pat, Steven, Melvin Ingram, after he kind of got to playing and stuff, Travian, Cliff, all those guys had really good personalities. And, Yeah, even a guy like Kyle Nunn would have been really good at NIL. I think Kyle was
Yeah.
funny. He's hilarious. So
Yep. I'm
I'll
sure
never
my guy Brian Maddox. I know he would have got an
B
NIL with
man.
some.
Oh,
Yeah, some fishing group.
he'd be sitting there like with about a law firm or something. I remember his dad, man. He was B-Man was great, man. So all those guys in that class would have done really, really well.
I
NIL
bet
wise.
Steven probably would have had one. I could probably guess.
I know
Oh, yeah.
exactly what restaurant and what pizza place in Fine Point Steven would have been
yeah.
had a big deal with it all. But Steven would have had a bunch too. I mean, that guy from the moment
He might have had a
campus,
statue. Yeah, they might have put a statue of him in 5 Points.
There's no doubt. I think they should anyway.
Maybe a nice still, right? Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
Those guys you played, I always find looking back at history, pretty unique at the lens that we look through it, and you go back and you think about like Lottie Ajaboy and Melvin and when they came in, and you look back now at what this program achieved as they got older, and you would have never guessed it, because everybody gets so caught up, Weslye, in the star system and this and that and the whole 9 yards. And then you look back at guys who, I don't want to say flew under the radar, but they just didn't pop. Pat DeMarco didn't pop either.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, they were an integral reason why there was so much success that ended up being created.
Yep.
What is that? Like when you look back at all the guys that you played with, and I'm talking about at the college level, totally different scenario from the pro level. That's your job. But at the collegiate level, you got to go to school. You got all these things going on, and you look back at all these guys that you played with who became great players, and then maybe some guys that came in as great players and just really never worked out. Like, can you kind of describe that for us, that college experience and how it affects guys versus others?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. It's all about how much you believe in yourself, right? Because you show up on campus and everybody's just as big and just as fast as you are, right? And so I think even us, a lot of you guys had chips on their shoulders anyway coming in onto campus, because guys like myself and Melvin Ingram and Chris Culliver and those guys, we had bigger offers to go to other schools, but we're like, you know what? I think I kind of believe in this South Carolina thing, but I also believe in myself, right? If I go out and show that I can do my thing against Florida and Alabama, then I will have proven myself right. Everyone who believes in me. And on the opposite end, you see guys who come into on campus and it's a little overwhelming, right? Now I'm starting to second guess my abilities. Now I'm starting to, am I really as good as I thought I was? And so I've seen that kill a lot more guys than anything else, is that insecurity and self-doubt. So I knew early on I didn't want that to be a part of my thing. I know Coach Spurrier, one of the things he sold me on was being able to play as a freshman. So that was very intriguing and very enticing to a guy like myself. And I think a lot of guys wanted that. A lot of us, except for a few guys, a lot of us hit the field that first year. A guy like Deion LaCorn, people don't mention as much, but who really stepped on campus and wanted to prove something immediately. So I think it was a great opportunity for us, and it said a lot about the guys in our program willing to go and create something that we couldn't see. Right? It's easy to talk about it now in hindsight, but we didn't know if we would go there and win any games. Right? So.
Yeah, I'd have to go back to have an informed opinion on this, but in 2007 and 2008, when you and Jared were in the same tight end room, I can't imagine that there was a group of tight ends anywhere else in college football that was better than the two of you. What was y'all's relationship like?
Oh man, I love Jay Cook, man. That was my guy. He brought me in. He and Andy Boyd, took me under their wing. Now Andy, he was more of a blocking tight end, but Jared, we kind of spoke the same language as far as wanting to make plays and wanting to, be a vital part of the offense. And for some reason, man, to this day, we can't understand, what the coaching staff's, opposition was against putting us on the field at the same time, right? It was either Jared or Wes. But I'm like, we both can do some things, so it kind of became that. We had gone through our three tight end coaches in 3 years with Fred Chatham and Ray Rychlewski and Jeep Hunter. And so, it was a great relationship between Jared and I, but of course, there's only so many minutes to go around because, we weren't running too many 2 tight end sets, but, Jared was my guy. I learned a lot from him. And he showed me a lot of the ropes, especially being an ex-wide receiver. So my route running became crisp. Guys like he and Kenny McKinley really took me under their wing and saw the talent in me to kind of hone that and, develop me into a better player.
It's crazy because Spurrier got away from just using he started using double tight end formations around 2011-ish, 2012-ish. Justice Cunningham and Busta Anderson and Jarrell Adams.
Yep.
They say, I always thought, wow, he should have done that back then because it wasn't like y'all were like loaded at receiver. You had Kenny and Jared basically was the second best receiver in those early years. And then, of course, Alshon came in and kind of changed that. But, man, that was something else. It was wow. All right, so I got to ask you one thing about Spurrier and plays. So Clemson game 2009, they're playing Clemson this year. So they called a play, and you called a touchdown.
Yeah.
I saw that play a bunch in his career. He wouldn't run it every single game, but when he did, it was lethal. Am I right in that? And what could you describe that play call? It's kind of almost like a crossing, like a pick.
Okay, hey, you got to be specific. Oh, you saying 2009? You got to be specific.
09,
you got two. Yep.
You did have two in that game. Yeah. This was the pick play, the crossing play.
Yeah, the Y dragster, man. That's the Y drag. That's the bread and butter. Yeah. No, they weren't really equipped to handle that play. Garcia and I, we knew that was going to be a big play, every time. I don't think you probably don't remember in 2007, I had one against Kentucky that I fumbled on the 1 yard line after taking it 48 yards.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we run that play multiple times, and of course, if it's man to man, somebody gets picked off, and it's a lot of confusion going on. And if you can come out that backside and make one guy miss, that's all it's about. And so I was able to do that.
I also remember in 08, 24-14, right? 08, we're down 24-0. Back to 24-14, and you ran it, and Smelly threw it about a foot over your head.
Yeah,
and you'd probably still been running, man, up at Death Valley, and that play may have changed everything because Dabo probably wasn't getting the Clemson job if y'all to come back and won that game.
Well,
it's crazy how those things happen,
it's funny too. My dad, I scored a touchdown in that game too.
You did. I remember that.
My dad, he missed the play because our house was getting broken into. So he was in Death Valley. What? He had to rush out of the stadium to talk to the police on the phone because somebody had broken into our house. I guess knowing he was gone for the game that weekend. So he missed it.
You're kidding me. This was in the 2008 game in the Upstate.
Yeah.
It was raining.
So what happened with your house? They broke into the house. Did they?
The alarm went off. I think they took some minor stuff from the front porch, but the alarm was going off the whole time, so they didn't get out with much. So that was the alarm company.
Is that the house you're in now?
No, this is not the house I'm in now. This is my dad's house on the other side of town. So my mom and dad, they're both in Durham, but they live on separate sides of town.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, what a story. Well, it's okay because in 2009, and this will kind of lead us into where we're going with this year's game too, and we'll pick the game, and I'm going to wipe the rest of these picks out, guys. We're not going to have time to do it. I'd rather talk to Weslye than pick the freaking Kentucky game. But the 2009 game, y'all had lost. This program had lost. Oh gosh, at that point in time, was it 2 straight?
It was 2 straight, but like 7 out of 8.
Yeah, 2 straight, and outside of 01 and outside of 06, Carolina had lost every game since the turn of the century. It just wasn't kind. That game in 09 turned it in the Gamecocks' favor, 5 consecutive, and you just pointed out you had 2 catches. Both of them were in the end zone.
Oh, yeah.
And the final score was 34-17. I'll never forget that day at Williams-Brice Stadium. What was it that day? What was the magic potion? I know Kenny had a big day toting the rock. But do you remember going into that game? What were those conversations like? Did you have it circled on the calendar? Kind of walk us through that.
Oh yeah, it was obviously we had already felt the angst throughout the season because the season kind of hadn't gone the way we wanted it to. We had a really good team. We were losing a few games at the end, right? We lost to Georgia and Athens by a few. We taking number 1 Florida to the brink. So we knew we had the talent. So it was really all about us. And towards the end of the season, that's when things really started to shape up. Honestly, I was excited about that season, but I'm already looking like, man, we really got a chance to do something even next year. So I knew Clemson was going to be one of those times like, hey, let's go out here and set it off. And of course, we run into the first play of the game when they take it back to the house on us on the kickoff. That really, deflates the sales a little bit. So you really have to get back to like, how much do we really believe in ourselves after something like that happens, So we were able to bounce back. Obviously, they had a penalty on it. We were able to bounce back and take it to the house, man. But I just remember the camaraderie around that. Like, yeah, we're not gonna lose this game. We're about to win, and we're gonna have a good time at 5 points after this.
That's right. I remember 5 points well that night.
Oh yeah.
And the next morning, I guess we should probably say. This team started off 2-6. They've won 3 straight. This is certainly going to be the most difficult opponent they've played, Weslye, beating Jacksonville State, Vanderbilt, and Kentucky to get to this point. But if they get it, they go to a bowl, and then they also would have their second consecutive win over that team in the upstate. And boy, do they need it. I don't know exactly how much you've seen out of them the last few weeks, but if you have seen a bunch, what have you seen, and how do you think that'll translate into the ball game tomorrow night?
Oh yeah, I've seen guys gaining confidence. Yeah, I've been keeping up as much as I can, and I remember the last time I was really intensely watching was that Georgia match, and I saw a lot of grit from guys. The defensive line playing well, and I see you see sparks, right? And then it's all about really just bringing it all together. And so these past few weeks, I've seen them bring it together. Putting up some major points, coming back from adversity, right? Somebody emerging as the breakaway star on offense with Rattler and Leggett. So these are guys that you really need your people to step up and confidence. So if you can hang your hat on a few guys, then that kind of trickles and permeates through everyone else, because I've seen it happen. So 3 games in a row. We need this one. So I think we're in a good space. I don't want to speak too soon because I've been wrong before, but I got a good feeling about this one.
You played in the NFL. How do you think Xavier Leggett and Spencer Rattler will how will their game play at the next level?
I think they'll be fine, man. But just like you said, I played in the league, and I understand the importance of a offensive coordinator and a coach who can see what you can do, right? Because you can get put in the wrong position and fizzle out, or guys label you as a bust because you're in the wrong situation. Luckily, I was able to get on with the Steelers and Bruce Arians and Mike Tomlin early on with a very intricate offense, and offense that was let me show what I was capable of. And not all the time, I went to another team, when I went to Indianapolis, and it was kind of the opposite of that, where you were kind of a little bit pigeonholed. So, really kind of depends on the team, depends on, the offense that you get put into. But luckily, I'm starting to see, a lot more guys thinking out of the box now, with the emergence of Patrick Mahomes and, these new style offense, Brandon Staley, is kind of funking things up a little bit. So thank goodness this old traditional way of thinking is kind of going by the wayside, when we're able to implement new things and new plays and let guys express themselves. Football is expressionism at the least, right? So you got to go out and let guys be who they are on the football field.
Wes Juice, Weslye.com. Sounds like it sounds like an NIL deal could be somewhere for you. Maybe there's somebody in the Garnet and Black now that could that could work with you on this deal.
Oh yeah, hey look, we're looking into that, man. We got a lot of our research. We got nothing but top-notch ingredients in our stuff, man. So we source it from a company out in Southern California, and I just distinctly picked out the ingredients that can help someone on their path to being an athlete, right? So we got all of these superfood ingredients that are built to help us carry on in vitality, on or off the field, clear brain fog, all that good stuff, man. But health is wealth and not much else is what I like to say. And unfortunately for me, that was not my main thing when I was in Columbia. I was going against the grain when it comes to eating and taking care of myself and knowing what to put in my body. But I didn't know any better, man. So, it's really about knowledge. So, I'm just here to spread the knowledge.
Well, we'll continue to help spread it for you as well. And you can always come back. I think I'm going to speak on behalf of both of these guys. We know what a good interview is. and this one's pretty good thanks to you. Well, very well done. You're always welcome on our program. Before we go, two quick picks here. One is tomorrow at noon on Fox between second-ranked Ohio State and third-ranked Michigan, and I'll start with Mad Dog down there. Phil, who you got in this thing?
Oh, give me the Buckeyes. Give me the Buckeyes.
Whoa.
Yeah, they brought some defense with them. They don't just play offense anymore, so I think that might throw Michigan off.
This will be their third big win on the road, JC. Will Ohio State get it done? Do you agree with Mad Dog there? You don't need to turn your mic on if you'd like to make a pick publicly. You can make one privately if you'd like.
OHIO.
Oh, no.
There you go.
Hey, what do you think about the Ohio State Michigan game this weekend, Wesley? And what do you think about Michigan stealing signs according to, well, evidence?
Well, I got Michigan by 3, man. I don't know what it is in the air. I'm going Michigan this time, and all is fair in love and war, right? So a couple signs get messed up, a couple schools get vandalized. Nobody got hurt, right? So it's all good.
All right, I'm with you.
Great, right? Yeah.
I think something weird happens tomorrow. Something weird. It's going to be cold and at home. No Jim Harbaugh. But if they could sneak that other guy on other sidelines, I'm sure they could find a way to sneak Jim into the ballpark. So I'm going to go with I'm with you. I think Michigan finds a way to get it done at home. And then finally, we'll let Wesley pick last in this one. I'll lead this one off, which is ours. The Gamecocks now have a ranked opponent walking in tomorrow night. The Tigers looking for 2-0. We've talked about this thing inside and out throughout the week. It's turnovers. It's the turnover battle. That's really what it's going to come down to in my mind. Clemson, when they lose it, they lose. When they win it, they win. South Carolina has created 9 in the last 3 games. They've won all 3. Clemson has created 10 in the last 3 games. They've won all 3 as well. But I think tomorrow night, Spencer Rattler and Xavier Legette will go out with a bang, and that defense will create more turnovers than Clemson's. And I think South Carolina, it'll be raucous and wild in there, and I can't wait to see it. Gamecocks win. Phil?
I'm with you, JB. The biggest key to me in this game, because it's been the biggest thorn in the team up the road side, is turnovers. You finally turned the spigot on here to get the turnovers moving over the last 3 games. Like I said 3 weeks ago, you got to start with a little tiny snowball at the top of the hill, and they've been pushing and rolling that thing all the way down. And I think they pull off a nice close victory tomorrow night.
JC.
Gamecocks will win. I think it'll be a lot like Kentucky game. Yeah, Gamecocks should win the game.
Boy, that's outstanding analysis.
Yeah, I just wanted to give it. I wanted to bring you the full Monty there. I want to hear what Wesley had to say.
Yeah, that's right.
Forgive me for being the light our guest. I've been talking all day, man.
And finally, the guest of the hour, again, Weslye.com, Weslye. That's where you could find some really, really, really cool stuff. Connect with him on social media. And if you really need to get in touch with him for something, maybe it's about a business opportunity, get in touch with us. You can do it on the Chief Sports app, and we will connect you to Weslye Saunders, former outstanding tight end for the Gamecocks, who helped start that 5-in-a-row streak 14 years ago. Wesley, will they add on to last year's and start a new streak of their own?
Man, has it been that long? Yeah, thanks, man. I'm definitely going with the Gamecocks tomorrow, but also, you got to look at other variables, right? We got some special guests in the building. It's a night game. It's going to be rough, so you're going to have a chance to get that momentum pumping all through the day. I used to hate the noon games. 3:30 was a little bit better, but when you got a night game, you got all day to think about it and really get yourself pumped up. So I think the momentum, the atmosphere, everything is going to be working in our favor tomorrow, man. So I'm going Gamecocks by 10.
See, I'll take that too. Carolina by 10. Weslye Saunders, hey, you're always welcome here. You've got my number. You have JC's number. You reach out anytime you need us. If you got something you want us to push, promote for you, we'll do it. But most importantly, we'd love to just have you back and talk more ball, man.
Hey man, hey, look, this 30 minutes up already, guys. Time flies when you're having fun. But I appreciate you guys having me on, man. If you guys shoot me your addresses, I'll shoot you out some of our West Juice products for you guys to try, man. So you're not just blindly supporting me with, you never tried the stuff. So the truth is in the juice, and so I'm looking to get people trying it, man. So shout out to all the Gamecock Nation, Miss Judy. I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out the Lennons, Miss Judy and Patrick, who helped me immensely, during my time when I got suspended. We thought we had a chance to come back on the field at some point. I had a lot of people lobbying for me, trying to get me back on the field, calling legislators, calling the NCAA. I really felt the love, even though I was in my lowest point of my life, man, at that time, having to watch from the sidelines as our school had the most successful year in school history, man. I was humbled by how many people came out to support me, man. So I'll forever be part of Gamecock Nation.
Well, you helped build that. You helped build that. And Carolina will always be grateful to you for what you did, and will always support you, certainly. And as I mentioned, you are always welcome here. So enjoy being home for a couple of days up there in North Carolina. Safe travels back to Miami. And well, I guess we'll be down there next month, huh, JC, to celebrate you and your bride. So maybe
West Palm.
We'll be in West Palm. We'll have to get some West Juice.
Hit me up.